Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Live Engineers 101. This week I'm talking to Iain Smith, who is the tech manager and sound engineer for the Garage and The Cathouse. So Iain, thanks for joining us today. Just to start off, can you just introduce yourself, tell us a bit about you?
Hi, Bob. How you doing? I'm Iain Smith. I don't know if I can say I am anymore, considering what's recently happened in the state of the country and the state of the world at the moment. I was. I probably still am the technical manager.
You will always be.
Technical manager at the Garage and The Cathouse in Glasgow. I wasn't always that guy. I started what you would call, I would say an apprenticeship with this kind of line of work, to be fair. I started off in crew work. Like, I wouldn't say that was the bottom, because those guys are the most important part of the team, really. So I learned everything, really. I learned from there. Working with a company called the Whatever Crew, and I met a few folk there. We were in the academy a few times, and I was lucky enough to meet technical manager at the time there. His name's Ali Parley, the cracking guy. Spoke to him when I was in there. We were in just doing like kind of PA shifts in and out, changing lights over for different gigs coming in and out. And I kind of became one of the house crew in there about 13 years ago now, maybe. That's where my start really was in there. Kind of grew in there a wee bit, doing more and more stuff, getting a wee bit more responsibility, like kind of crew bossy type things, and being left on my own with a couple of guys, and, you know, kind of inexperienced guys, and showing them the ropes and things like that at the kind of basic level of what we were doing, whether it was where things went or how things went when they went on stage, or getting folk in and out of the building and things like that kind of stuff. And at the time there was some small promotion companies, like local promotion companies, doing stuff in the wee bar up the stairs in the academy. And we would set that up as well for shows. At the time we were using the side fills and an old Allen Heath GL 300 or something like that, I think it was, for the front of us, and some wedges for downstairs, an app rack. And we would go up there and set all that up in there. And I get asked to hang about one night by Ali, and he just kind of left me to it. Like, right, you're on your own, and for there on in, that's kind of where I started picking up being a sound engineer, really. And for then, I kind of, when I was on shifts, I was more like around desks, kind of learning a bit more, the guys that were open them. I learned a lot from guys like Mick Riley, who I don't know where he is anymore. I'm not entirely sure. He's a good pal. I'm sure he's still alive. I hope so. Alan Singfield, he's a good guy as well. And guys like Richie Wilson, he wasn't an audio guy, the light guy, but learned a lot from him too, just in general, really. And for there, kind of moved on. I looked after a wee venue in Glasgow called Stairway. It used to be the Underworld.
Yeah,
you know that one. I think when it was Underworld, it was maybe a bar kind of restaurant-y type thing. And when I was in there, it was a bar. I learned a lot in there, actually. The big, like, concrete and metal room, and I looked after that. That was a hard room to mix. Not horrible room to mix in.
I can imagine.
It was hard. Yeah. It was really hard. But it was good fun. I was in there for about a year and a half. And I was still in and out of the academy, doing bits and bobs in there. Again, kind of taking steps further up in the academy. And let's say when Stairway closed, I was kind of back to doing more at the academy. Kind of moved on to the ABC. I had a phone call. I was going from one shift in a hotel down at the bottom of the city centre to a shift to I think it was the East End, probably at Celtic Park, I think, or the Velodrome or something. And I get this phone call from, I think it was Richie. I'm not sure. Can you come into the ABC at some point? Speak to us. Like, sure, not a problem. I wanders in. You free for a gig tomorrow? Like, yep, I'll do it. No problem. Never had anything on, so why not? Yeah, we looked around about it was at that point it was ABC 2, so that was another kind of step up. Again, from I get a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more. I get a little bit more advanced in my skills, really. Met new people. But Craig Allen, he was the technical manager at the time, and I became more regular in there. Eventually, doing some kind of club shifts and things like that, looking after actually the club lampy for a while, as well as doing gigs. So that became regular work. So I would be in there quite often, as well as the club nights and doing crew shifts here, there, and everywhere. I was in there from I was 2012 at that point, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. My now ex-wife were getting ready to get married, so I was running about like a fucking maniac trying to pull in hundreds of money. Yeah, you're married, Scott. You know what it's like when it comes to when it comes to that point in time. So I was doing all the shifts under the sun everywhere, So I was in the garage a lot. The guy at Garage, the Cathouse. Where else was I? I was driving stuff around for various companies. I did some stuff for yourself a couple of times. Just to put the pennies in, man. But when you get your face out and about, people start to know you, and if you're reliable, people use you again, So that was the kind of as I get more and more and becoming more regular in the garage and stuff, folks started to realise who I was, and they realised I wasn't just some. It was like, hang on a minute, this guy's not just somebody that's somebody's pal that's come in here. Either they're pally and stuff, but when they're talking, he's talking about sense, maybe, I don't know. And he knows a lot more people, and we get pally with the crew there, and I get known by the crew there, I get known by the engineering team, the audio team, the lighting team, the management, the bar staff, that sort of thing. And when my time came to leave the academy, just so happened that it was Pete at the time, as he was leaving the garage to go elsewhere. And Pete suggested me for the job. And it was a relatively easy transition. It wasn't difficult to move from one place to the other.
So would you class yourself then, do you say, I'm a sound engineer or I'm a tech manager? What do you prefer to be? Would you prefer to just do sound or just be a tech manager? I know you do both.
I do both. I kind of like a bit of all of it, to be honest. I've always been in venues. Venues have always really been where my priority, not really my priorities of late. I've always liked the idea of being in one show, being on one particular show with band, theatre, tour, whatever, and kind of growing with it, changing it with the team, you know. But the same applies when you're in the venue, you know. I don't like to be called tech manager, because that implies I'm somebody's boss, and I don't like that, because to me everybody's a team. You know, I just happen to be the guy that sends out the shifts and deals with it. I'm the first guy that people come to, and I'm the last guy that people come to as well. You know, and it's almost been, I've been one of the first guys and one of the last guys people have come to from the academy in the ABC days, and now I am the first and the last guy. I'm the first guy people go, Iain why, Iain what, Iain where, you know. And at the end of the day, I'm the last guy that people go, oh, thanks for that, and oh, I'm sorry, you know, that, you know, the apologies come to me last, and which is fair. You know what I mean? I'm not always the guy on the front line of the show.
Being a tech manager, then, have you got to have a general knowledge of everything, including your audio, your lights, video and stuff? Or are you're a sound engineer who knows the other stuff as well? Do you have to know everything, really?
I would say I was a sound engineer that knew more than what I did. I am probably a kind of jack of all trades, master of none, really.
Well, you're brutally honest as well.
I mean, what do you want? Lies?
Just the truth.
Just the truth. Okay, I didn't bring the big book. I would say I was a master of none.
I think
because I find myself quite adaptable, and that was probably because of where I was at the beginning, and I kind of figured that if I've learned enough, not like shit cowboy stuff, you know what I mean? If I know what I'm doing in a situation where if somebody goes, oh fuck, I'm stuck, I can go in, I can use what I know, however basic in the situation that they've got. But most situations can be resolved in roughly the same way if you really break it down.
Yeah, it's interesting because you said that it's adaptable. I think one of the key elements of being successful in what we do is the ability to problem hits, and you can just have that ability to right solution. You know, whereas you get the ones that just what I do, and you know those, and that's just sometimes not in people's personality. But if you can just go right, cool situation, go do it, solve. It makes a massive difference, and I think that's what people can see in you as well and go, that's the kind of guy that we want involved. I mean, from what you've said there is, I mean, you've certainly came on a journey. I mean, I didn't know half of that, and you sound like a prime example of the person who goes in from the bottom and slowly works their way up, you know, to the top. Because a lot of as people will be listening to this going, well, how do I go from being, I want to be an engineer and I want to be in a certain position. Now, it's good from these videos because we're all seeing where people, how they're getting into it. You know, Andy, you know, he was in the army, the Air Force, you know. Will, very similar to yourselves, came up from doing crew work. Myself, I come from being a professional musician and came into it from a studio background, then into live sound engineering. There's just so many different avenues, and it's like anybody can get into it. And I don't think you don't have to be young to get into it either, you know?
I would agree, yeah. I mean, I came from crew work. I still worked in Asda a lot of the time to keep money coming in when times are quiet. you know, if there was ever any quiet times, I'd be like, I didn't go to uni. I went to college, right? I studied TV production and at college, and I specialised in location sound recording, right?
All right.
And I did a few. You could probably find a few of the short films on here. I did loads. I did loads of short films, right? The first one I did, I've never ever seen it, right? And I know it wasn't what I thought it was when I walked in, right? I was.
What kind of video was this?
I was walking up the stairs to this flat. The first time I did this gig, my like location gig, right? I had my gear, right? Bag, gear. And I thought, I ain't walk away for this. This is porn. I'm like, this is porn, right? This is going to be. I'm going to open this door, and it's going to be porn, and I'm going to be that it's going to be weird, and because I got the night before I was due, my call was, I got the front page of a script, right? I didn't get the script. I didn't get any more description of it, other than the basic one. I got sexy girl, right? Man, jilted by ex-lover, gets his revenge. I thought, my head just went, oh, this is porn, isn't it? I was going, oh no, this is porn, isn't it? I'm going up this like dark close, going, oh man. I'm like, once you that way, I'm like, I mean, fair play anybody that does it, right? Not me. Right? I'm like, see, once your name's, I mean, I don't know about the crew, right? I don't know if anybody knows any crew that make porn, right? But that way, I'm like, once you've done one, that's it. Like, it's not going away.
You're
I
the
know I'm
porn
not the
guy.
You're porn guy. You're porn guy, right? That was it. I'm going, oh shit.
I've just came up with the title of this interview.
You make me porn guy.
Iain Smith, porn guy.
Porn guy. Deck manager, porn guy. Yeah, he's going up them stairs going, oh crap. So anyway, I didn't go to uni. I didn't have anything to fall back on. So I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna pack the film and stuff in, because I get paid off two films, right? Maybe three, because it was all independent stuff, deferred payment, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Great fun, great scran, great partner, great folk to work with, but it was difficult to make any money. You know, I couldn't even make any money off hiring my kit out. You know what I mean? My recording gear out. It was just like, this is crap, and I couldn't afford the insurance on it either. So if anything got bust or lost or whatever, I'm like, shit, I need to replace that, and I can't afford to replace that. So like, I've got one of each thing, maybe two or something else, and that's my kit. If it all goes fucking wrong, it goes wrong, you know. So I kind of changed path a little to get to where I was. I mean, and I still put to people that are working in the venues as part of my team, you know, the guys, the young girls, everybody that come in and do stuff, don't just go on this. Do something else as well. Like,
yeah,
you know, like this is a great line of work to get into if you can get into it, but it's fucking hard. You know what I mean? It's really fucking hard, you know. And you need to be willing to work. Like, you need to be willing to work, and you need to be willing to work hard, you know. And you need to be willing to be willing to take a kick in their fucking teeth quite a lot. You really do. Because I don't know how many times I've went to this, I've had enough. I don't know how many times I walked into a venue and just went, nah, not today, man. Fuck this. Fuck guitars, fuck drummers. To hell with mixing desks and cables and shit, and everybody else getting steaming and you and I'm busting my arse for them, but at the end of the day, going, wow, because at the end of the day, the hard work pays off. You know what I mean? If you're willing to, that's why you need to work hard. I mean, you don't get to the point where you feel the same as what the band are feeling, or the comedian, or whatever are feeling. Sometimes you do walk away going, oh, for fuck's sake, oh, I want a lollipop, a cuddle. You know what I mean? Somebody singing songs about jumping off a bridge or something like that, and you're like, oh, really? Know the day, man. Christ. You know? But when you get to that point and everything just works, everything goes really well, the punters are really into it, the band are really into it, you get into it.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter where you are in the chain, you know what I mean? Crew, production, front of house, monitors, lights.
You just have that moment, isn't it, where you just go, yeah.
Aye.
And
yeah, somewhere that you're kind of at the desk and you're going, and you don't realise you're.
Yeah.
And just kind of.
I've even found myself doing it to gigs that I'm mixing that isn't really my thing, or something it's not my genre, and I found myself really into it, you know?
Yeah.
And then you go, that's when you know you're having a good time, you're happy with the mix. If you're happy with the mix, then you know that everyone else should be happy with the mix. Whereas there's times where you're sitting going, you're just not happy. You know, you're
looking for the corner piece.
This is something. I mean, everyone's having a good time enjoying it, but you're just looking at the desk going, this is something that's not.
What have I done?
Aye, you know, until
but I don't know how to fix it.
And you muck about with so long, and then you finally get it halfway through the last song. You go, yeah.
Yes.
But
I enjoy it while it lasts.
That's when sometimes you can be so focused on what you're doing, and I've seen it with some engineers who just dial in so much that I think you lose some of what you're trying to capture, or you lose the experience of doing it and seeing it. And sometimes being a bit more raw is a better sound.
I think my favourite type of mixing, which was 9 times out of 10, right, and still is arguably how it works for me whenever I get behind the desk, right, is when I've got 25 minutes to get a band on stage, mic'd up, sound checked, and back off before they go on in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So a lot of the time when we were working in the ABC, it would be, right, this is all prepped beforehand, mics are all out, and we're waiting the band getting on the stage. We're like, cabled up, done, back to front of the house, back to monitor world, wherever I was, make sure the lines are all there, and then, right guys, you've got time for a chorus and verse, go
for it,
and that's it, chorus and verse, let's do this, you know what I mean? And then you walk off the stage, and then when they come back on, and it becomes a kind of them and us, not them or us thing, it's them and us, because they're working to get the crowd, and you're working to get the crowd, and it's like, right, we're in it together, guys, and you're at the desk and you're tweaking stuff, and you're kind of you're listening, you're kind of. But my basic rule for that is, if you're not happy with the third song, it's never going to be all right. It's just never going to be all right.
I think it's also sometimes just how you are mentally, or where you're at with things, or how the day's been going. But what you were saying there about like the short, very short sound checks that we get in the chair, that's where we all have to come together as a team. That's when suddenly everybody goes, right, got 10 minutes, and you've got all the crew, everybody in, do it. And it's funny, you get that pressure of, you've got 3 bands to sound check in 40 minutes before the doors And that's where you get your test of character. If you can do that, you will be successful in the business. If you can't do that, then you need to not do that kind of gig. Be a sound engineer, but not in that environment, because it's going to happen to you. 1 out of 3 gigs is you're going to have 3 bands to sound check within a very tight time scale. But you've got to thrive off that, you know, and it's also a good way to sharpen your chops, you know, with that. Right. Because
a lot of the time you're on your own when you're doing that.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody else with you. You've got your 2 hands, and hopefully a band that shift their arse.
It's also it's a test of the person of, you know, you know that the headliner band have taken a while, or the bands have been late, or you turn up to the venue and the promoter's like, yeah, it's 6 bands tonight, you know, and it's like, that's where you have to go internally. You're going, are you kidding me? Or you know, you're taking the piss here, but you've got to come across of, cool, no problem, we can do this. You've got to put that promoter's mind at rest. And it's funny what you were saying earlier on, it's everybody gets to know who you are. So if a promoter knows you're that guy who walked into that venue, here's the problems, here's what it is, and you dealt with it without being a dick about it or moaning, they'll ask for you again, or they'll remember you. They'll also remember you if you do a bad job, you know? And his reputation is the key. And you came through the ranks from being nothing, just a T-boy, to tech manager, really.
I'm still the fucking T-boy, mate.
Well, that's true.
I'm just a T-boy with the keys.
You've just got a title.
I'm just the T-boy with the keys.
That's it.
What to the cupboard where the kettle is.
Out of all the bands that or artists that you've worked with over the years in the different venues, what's the highlights? What's the gigs that you just remember, loved being part of, or you mixed, or you did monitors for, or you were just there? You know, just those gigs that you remember, or you'd be on your CV or on your gravestone.
I don't have a gravestone. I think at my gravestone I'll be like, thank fuck he's gone.
Sound engineer for porn.
Porn guy. I'm really trying to think. That's always a really difficult question to answer. What's the best gig you've mixed? I always loved mixing the Hazy Recollection shows, and on a Sunday afternoon, I'd go in early at an ABC2. That was part of Celtic Connection, January, and from almost when I went in, I started working in the ABC. I was doing it, and it was great. So basically, that it would be folk acts, singer-songwriters, something a bit quirky would always be on there, like somebody with some kind of electronic type stuff, with a kind of folky or a Celtic twist, or the fact that they were from a kind of a nation with a heritage, kind of, you know. Mm-hmm. That was the deal. I love doing those gigs. That was a talk about test your chops. You're on your own.
I was going to say that's must be different instruments as well, and you have to use different techniques on it.
Yeah, that was like less than 5 minute turnaround type things for shows like that. You're on your own. You sound check one act and it's not even the full band type thing. You don't see specs. You don't see anything. You've got one guy who's got it all in his head, and he starts writing stuff down, and your best pal there, your like secret weapon is a pen and a bit of paper, and you go, is there at least one member of each band or each act in this room? and you find the guy, you find the promoter, you find the compere, you find somebody who knows a bit about what's going on after you've prepped the stage, and you go, right, there's a drum kit on that stage. Somebody's brought a drum kit and there's a drum kit line. You're like, right, the drum kit gets mic'd up, so that's at least 5 channels gone. We've got both gone. Then you go, what else is coming? So you take 5 away for 24, an analog desk, right? Both. You've only got 4 mixes, right? So if anybody asks for any more, they get here, right? So everybody needs to stand on the front and share. And then you start going around and asking folk. There's 8 of us in the band. We've got 2 stereo keyboards. And you go, right.
And it's 8-way into your monitor mix.
Aye, and you go. Aye, there's not enough channels on the desk, mate. We're going to have to cut. How much of that can we cut? Oh, we can't cut that for that song. Can we pull that out and plug it in for the other song? All right, and you go. Then you find yourself asking stupid questions. Like, see when you're playing your clarinet, are you singing as well?
Aye.
You go, yeah. Then you go, wait a minute.
Aye, so people who are playing the flute and the sax are vocals, and you go, can you just use the same mic? You know?
Aye, you go, are you singing as well at the same time? You go, no, where did that stupid question come from? You know, but gigs like that, I love doing gigs like that.
Do you think that's just because you being in a venue, do you get a wee bit jaded, just kind of like doing the same thing all the time, and it's like something a bit different? Because obviously, if you're constantly in the venue, do you get a bit sick of that environment? Because obviously, from my perspective, every day I'm in a different location, and a lot of guys are like that. Whereas when you're a tech manager or a venue guy, that's your workplace.
There is an element of, I don't want to say boredom, but repetition.
Yeah.
You know, repetitiveness. It's like, right, okay, I'm seeing roughly the same set of white sheets coming in, and you know, I'm seeing roughly the same people coming in all the time. Not that I can't be bothered with the people, but you know what I mean? Like, maybe a wee change now and again would be okay. You know, it might be with the same people, but it's in a different place, and somebody else is taking my responsibility on. But you can become kind of protective of your house. You know what I mean, as well. So on the other side of that, you get the again, and then you also get the but no, this is my house.
I was about to say that. One of my questions was going to be, well, as you said that's my house. This is where you're coming into my domain. So when obviously you're constantly dealing with touring acts.
Yeah.
How is it you approach those bands that are coming in? And like, obviously we've all had the bands that appear, or the tour managers and everything who appear, who are just, they've been on the road and they've got a bit of an attitude. How do you cope with that? You know, them coming in and they maybe slagging off or saying they don't like something, or they're saying, oh, there's something wrong with one of those D&Bs, you know, that's just like off, or the mix position's wrong, or can you just tilt them, or there's a wee bit of a dead spot. I mean, How do you deal with that?
You kind of have to try your best to. It's kind of a wee game of kind of shithead tennis. You know what I mean? You don't go at them with the same attitude as they have. You go at them with the, what can I do to help you make this better? Mm. They'll tell you what they think. You'll then tell them, unfortunately, this is what's going on. This is how this room happens. We will do X if you work with me on Y. You know, you have to kind of, there's a backwards and forwards, and you kind of need to keep it balanced. I mean, you can go backwards and forwards for hours and hours and hours and hours. This is why advances exist, you know.
If they're correct.
What's that?
If they're correct.
Yeah. So that's another thing that you come across as well.
How many, out of percentage-wise, what would you say out of the advances that you receive are actually 100% correct?
In the last 6 months? No. 100% in the last 6 months. The advances I've received in the last 6 months, 100%. 100%. Because you know why? I have received fuck all advances.
Wow. I've received one and it was wrong. I was doing it was a live boxing stream up in Aberdeen, and what I was told what I needed, but off my head I went, no, you're going to need more than that, and I took up more mics. It was more mics, and luckily I had everything I needed because I preempted that I'm going to turn up here and I'm in Aberdeen and not can I turn around and go, oh well mate, but yeah, that one advance I've had for this year. But before COVID, regular basis.
In the last year, let's say the last year, about 75-80% of the advances are correct. I would say 75-80%, maybe slightly less.
It's amazing because I think a lot of people assume that when you've got touring acts that everything's nailed. You know, it's like, that's why you've got a tour manager and it's just like, Whereas I've had better tech specs from your local pub club gigs.
And they've drawn a napkin.
Yeah. Yeah, and which is fine. It is a bit frustrating though, you know, you're like, because the band have not turned up, we're there an hour before and you start prepping it, you know, and you get your mindset of what you're thinking we're going to be doing here. And I used to really prep a lot before gigs, whereas now I don't, because I know fine well I'm going to turn up and they'll go, right, that's going to change. I don't even label the desk or anything because there's something changed, or they've added something, or we're not doing it, and which is fine. But again, it's that way of when they turn up that you don't become a bit of a dick about it and go, oh well, it says you've only got 5 mics, so I've only brought out 5 mics. I can go and get another one, but it does say only 5 mics. Yeah. There's no point in having that conversation. It's just,
nah, man. There's no. Don't poke the bear. You know what I mean?
I guess from your perspective, you'll get a lot of guys who, and I think it's happened. You know, they turn up and it's a promoter's duty to get anything in the tech rider that the venue doesn't have, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be, and that would be at the promoter's expense. You know, whether that's power cables, side fills, stage extensions. We've never had that in the garage. Any kind of extra things that aren't on the venue's tech rider is what the promoter should then be putting to. It doesn't come. It comes initially at the promoter's expense. This is my understanding. I could be wrong. It comes initially at the promoter's expense to then be charged back to the act, management, whatever. It comes out of the band's pocket, mate.
Yeah.
You know, they want their show to be X, they need to pay Y.
Yeah. And in terms of the engineers that come through, obviously you've got the in-house guys, and we've got a lot of touring guys that are coming in constantly. And the majority of the time, they're all good. They're all good guys, or maybe a bit quiet. Do you, out of the last year or so, or the last couple of years, have you had many occurrences where you've had to really be quite forceful to an engineer who's either driving the PA too much or just doing things that they shouldn't be?
Yeah, we had some slight issues with we thought we had some slight issues with our subs. And it was during a show, actually. And there wasn't one of I can't remember if it was yourself or it was maybe Andy, not sure. Monitoring the system amps, and the guy was clipping the subs constantly. I mean, D&B amps are like D80s are built like tanks, man. You know what I mean? But he's clipping our subs, right? I decided, right, I go and spot it. First, the speaks to him, says, "Can you do me a favour? Pull back on the weight a wee bit. You're clipping the sub amps." "Oh, okay, no problem." And I stood with him for a wee minute, had a listen. Everything was fine. I walked away. Andy gets a message. I get a message off Andy. He's doing it again.
Was this a German engineer?
Yeah.
I was in that gig.
Yeah. Wanders upstairs, has a look, sure enough, clipping the subs again. I go and taps him on the shoulder. "Excuse me, mate. You're doing it again." And he, I turned the subs down like you asked. As well, still clipping. Can you kind of turn that down a wee bit? I takes a video. When I walked away again, it happened again. I went back into the amp room, takes a video, at least 5-10 seconds, enough for him to see what he was doing. Walks back out to him, taps him on the shoulder, steps him back from the desk, politely says to him, "Can you watch this video, please?" And I watched the video. I showed him the video, said to him, "That's what you're doing to my subs. Stop it." And he kind of looked at me, said to me that it wasn't him. It wasn't him. He got quite aggressive.
Yeah.
So I just kind of told him if he doesn't stop it, I'm going to mute the system, take him off the desk, and kick him out of the fucking building.
And the funny thing is, he was the main support.
Yeah, he wasn't even the main headline act. The headline act guy was well behaved.
Aye, and the thing is, it sounded great. I think it's funny because you've got a position, and I think for those who don't know, in the garage, you either, depending how it's sold, if it's sold out, you mix up in the balcony. If it's not as sold as well, you mix downstairs. Mixing downstairs is always a better sound for you, as in a sound engineer, of where you're standing.
You're right in the middle.
Yeah, but when you're up there, you don't get as much bass, and you've got to account for that. You know, and he hadn't. So he was just, I want the sound of what it should sound downstairs. Whereas
he'd maybe got off his arse and walked down the stairs and had a listen.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, the majority of the guys who come through though are all right, or you say to them, "This is what we've got," and they go, "Cool, fine."
Yeah. That's your job, innit? You can't. If you were touring with the guys that had the money to bring in their own systems everywhere, you wouldn't be moaning at what's in the room in the first place. You know, you'd be like, "Right, cool, just walk in, do the fucking job, man." You know what I mean? Come in, be cool with everybody. Everybody will be cool with you. We'll all go and get a beer at the end of the day. Go home, go to bed, get up, do it next day.
It's funny because obviously, from a garage perspective, we all have amazing banter, and especially with Mad Crew there, you know, and we're all shouting abuse at each other. And it's the American guys who come in, and the engineers who, they kind of look at you and they think we're actually all having a go at each other, or, you know, and like, no, they have no idea what's going on. And
coffee time.
Yeah, and you get the American guys who have been there before who come in and go, "I love this place," you know.
That's usually that's I suppose that's the flip side of that coin. When you were asking about getting jaded about being in a venue, yeah, but also no, because you know that there's acts that come round year in, year out, you get to see these guys over and over again. You get to see the same people. You get friendly with them, and and that's nice. That's cool. And you get to see the same. You get to see sometimes you get to see the same faces come through the door when they're from a tour or whatever, and you spend with these people and you get to know them.
And it's another way of getting, I guess, with the bands coming through, for you to be known. So when the production manager or tour manager come through, go, oh, that's Iain from Garage, I've dealt with him before.
Man's here, man, that kind of thing. All right, these guys it'll be fine. You hear it with the guys in you hear it with the Mad Crew guys all the time. Whenever Cruise comes through, he's like, "Oh, it's fucking you, is it?" Right? Yeah. Just drive on.
And it's also, I mean, from an engineer's perspective, and I think a lot of certainly what people have asked me is, how do you get on a tour, or how do you get involved with bands that are out there? And I'm like, well, if you're in a venue perspective and they're a local support or they're a touring support, and the touring support haven't got an engineer, if you do a very, very good job with them, they'll remember you, and you just don't know what would come from that, or they might say, oh, we know this guy, or so on. And we all know guys who have ended up on tours because do your best job. Don't think, oh, it's a support band, I'm not going to bother my backside. They're going to get the basics, I'm going to go kick, snare, overhead,
Yeah.
Give them the love and attention.
I reckon my rule is certainly always has been my rule. Everybody gets treated the same way. Mm-hmm. We don't just treat the headline act like gods and then treat everybody else like shit. Nah. The guys the guys' name is on the ticket get treated the same way as the guys whose pals are coming to see them for the first time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's in every single room. It doesn't matter where you go. And every venue should be the same. It's the same. Mm-hmm. The guys that's name are on the board get the exact same treatment as the guys who are coming in for like Castlemilk up the road. Yeah. Because they're coming to play. You know what I mean? For all we know, the guys at Castlemilk might be the guys that are going to be the name on the board. And
exactly. And what you're doing there's two things you do. You end up going, the band know that they're coming to a venue that is showing them love and attention, so they go, well, I like playing there, and that's a good sound engineer. So all it is it's like word of mouth. Out of obviously through the years, you've dealt with so many freelancers coming in and out of venues, all the venues. What would you say are the qualities that for the engineers who end up staying working and you offering more work to, compared to what's the things that people come in and do and they do wrong that you go, well, I'm not going to use you again, I can't use you again, they're just not right for the environment? How is it? What is it they do?
People who don't ask for help. That if you're willing to ask for help and you know when you're stuck and you get yourself out of it if you show a bit of initiative.
Yeah.
People show initiative. People that know when to ask for help. And people that are reliable. Reliability is definitely three things that are...
That's actually my biggest, for me, is reliability, being someone who uses a lot of freelancers.
I definitely put reliability at the top of that. Because if I offer you a shift and you don't show up and I then have to cover that shift myself or with someone else, or
I think this is just a blank across the board. Is if you're given a shift or you have a job, and if you let that person down by forgetting that you're working or on the day cancelling on them, for me that's straight off. I will not ever give you any work again, and that's because I can't have that. It's when you've got 5 or 6, like me running a company with 5 or 6 gigs on at the one time in different venues with different vans, different PAs, you can't just suddenly have, oh, I can understand if things happen, but out of the 7 years I've been running the company, I've only been let down a few times. You know, and I mean, that's pretty good, and that shows the mentality of the quality of engineers that you're wanting to deal with. Those people, yeah. And it's also, it's a passion. It's not like we're doing this because we just want the money. We do it because we work, just like you worked your way up from the ground upwards, getting paid pennies, then earning the money because you enjoyed what you do, you know?
My plan, I suppose, was not really plan. My goal really was to get myself into a position where I could give people the opportunities that I was afforded.
Yeah, that shows.
And if I could give people those opportunities that I was afforded, then I'd kind of got to that point where, I don't just mean empty promises either. I mean, like, come in and give them the opportunities I was. Yeah, I was given the right. Here's this bit. You get this, right? Then you get this. And you get this. Now you get that. And now you're on your own. You know what I mean? It's like, we're here, you know what I mean? Because, like I said, if you don't know how to ask for help, you'll never get it. You know what I mean?
But we all still ask each other for help when we were like none of us are know 100% about every single desk or every element of it as well. And I know a hell of a lot more about the SD9 or SD series than the Pro series. I can work the Pro series very well, but there's certain sums where an engineer comes in and asks me something, I'm like, I actually don't know. But there's always going to be someone who does, you know.
This is where this thing that I said earlier on was jack of all trades, master of none came in earlier on. I could stand in front of a house, Lampy could have a problem, I could go, oh, done, right, on, I don't know, I can't just board on certain things, an Evo board, right, depending, and the front of house engineer could shout at me, oh, I need a hand here, but hey, bother, I could jump back out of him and give him a hand with Pro Series, VI Series, probably an SD Series now after having a bit of dig, and get around the basics, you know, various other constant profiles and things like that. Get around other stuff, a wider range of.
I think a lot of people think that they assume that if you're in a position that you'll know everything, you know, or it's not like that, you know. I felt like that where I can remember my first monitoring gig in the garage. How many years that was, and I remember it was for Andrew WK, right?
Did you party hard?
Such a good gig. Such a good gig.
Whipped cream and shit.
But I'd luckily I was on SD9 and I own an SD9, so that's fine. But it was actually the process of being from a monitor engineer's mind, you know, and I'd not done that before. I had the knowledge of how to be a sound engineer. I knew the knowledge on the desk, but I didn't actually have the knowledge of how to be a monitor engineer. And the only way I could do that was I actually asked other guys who are the same level as me how to do that. And at first I felt a wee bit embarrassed because I thought, oh, you know, should I come across as I know this? Whereas I've learned, no, it's not about that. You know, you always come across something you've not used before, but as long as you've got the ability to teach yourself or learn it, there's YouTube. that's the thing. If you're going into a venue that you know you've got, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going into a venue, it's got a desk that I've never worked before. Well, that's where use your ability to download the manual or watch YouTube. You know, you don't have to be an expert on it. But
Isn't it good?
Aye, how to get input, gain, volume, and sends. That, you know, get the basics. You know.
Yeah. What I really can't abide is it's not just the unreliability. It's somebody telling me that they can do something and me leaving them to do something and then me having to come back and fixing the mess and essentially doing the job for them, and me watching them get paid to do the job for them. That's in any situation. That's if I've hired somebody to do it, if I am watching a touring engineer come in, and I've had to mix a show, I've sound checked his show or her show, and then wonder when the act walks out on stage, they walk out, stand in front of the house and go, "My turn, son, shift." Like, no, beat it. You were never before at sound check. I went to find you, and you weren't there. This is my show. Hop it. I can't deal with that. The people that tell you that they can do things and they can't. You get a phone call halfway through a show.
See, that's quite a fundamental thing, though. It's not I can't remember, how do I do this in the desk? Or, you know, just small things like that. That's different, but it's actually, again, the ability to do something. Being a sound engineer is the same about feedback, getting level, gain structure, setting up a desk, all of them, or how to do a sound check, all these, or how to patch things. They are all fundamentals that we should all know. That's it. And if you don't know them, you shouldn't be doing those gigs.
No. If you don't know that one goes to one, then I think maybe you need to learn to count.
Yeah.
For starters.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand there's a lot of engineers there who they've got the confidence, and Will was saying, you know, say yes to everything. And I do agree with that in a certain extent, but don't say yes to something that you know.
It's beyond you.
Aye.
Don't put yourself in a situation where you know you're going
to
make an ass of yourself and make it worse for you further down the line. Yeah, never do that. I think that's. I don't think I've ever done that. That might be why it's taken me so long to get to where I am. I don't know. But I know I've never not stepped outside my comfort zone.
Oh, it's
definitely
so important.
You need to. Now and again, you need to go, yeah, sure. I'll have a go at that. Whatever it is. And when it involves work, at least.
Yeah. I mean, we've all, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have said yes to things and I've not totally screwed them up, but I've not done a good job of them in the past, you know. And but again, that comes back, you were saying about learning. You learn from I will never do X, Y, and Z again because I learned from that experience, you know.
Because I fucked it up.
Yeah, but that's what makes us be a better engineer, because you're learning from your mistakes. So say yes to things. Don't really screw it up. Learn from that yes. It's a bit of a catch-22.
Find the person you can ask for help.
Yeah.
When you're about to go, oh shit.
Yeah.
Get a person to help you, then do it.
I think a big thing for young engineers or those wanting to improve is go shadow. And I know you allow it a lot at the garage, you know, like people coming in and just being there. And it's watching and learning. And I mean, that's how I've learned a lot from even doing gigs.
Yeah,
when you get some tuning engineers I'll watch because I'm like, I want to see how he's mixing because I like what he's done. I like the sound. And I'm like, I'm looking over his shoulder while I'm doing it. I do that right now because I want to go, how did you get the sound in that venue?
Yeah.
Aye. And I'm like, I did the support and I thought it sounded good, but you've went on and it sounds amazing.
Mate,
And it's the same desk.
time, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about the shadowing as well, that's how I learned. You ask questions, you follow somebody else's lead, and then you learn your own way, you know?
Yeah.
But the thing with the shadowing as well, I encourage it, actively encourage it a lot. Simply because you can find out a lot about how much dedication someone has to the job,
Oh yeah.
the lifestyle that
Yeah.
you have, as opposed to, because it's not a job, it's not work. It is work. It's not a job. This is a life choice. I mean, I would suggest we don't. I recently sat in a training session for selling windows, right? And it was fucking mind-numbing. And I didn't try and sell any windows later on. Need any windows? Aye. And the first statement that was made to me was, nobody enjoys their job. Everybody just works so that they can get money. And I went, hang on. I said, hang on. No. I have an army of people in my phone book that would tell you otherwise. And I'm going to tell you otherwise because I think that's a lie.
That's come from someone who's never done anything they're passionate about.
Yeah, I think that's a lie. I know that I didn't get into this for money or glamour or fame or any of that shit.
It was sex, drugs, rock and roll, and porn.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't get into it for the porn. Certainly didn't get into it for the sex. Drinking rock and roll, mate.
And the funny thing is, being a sound engineer, you actually don't get a chance to do any of that.
No, but there's a lot of rock and roll involved, and that's why I did it. I just love being in that environment. You know what I mean? I just loved it.
It's funny. I used, because I was a professional drummer for 15 years. My big rule was don't drink and drum, because if I had a couple of pints, sticks went flying, and I think that's the same with being a sound engineer, because the minute you start having you're impaired. You know, what you think sounds good doesn't necessarily mean it is. But I remember we were doing a couple of years ago down at Doon, and I was doing the second stage. You were on the main stage, and I think I was doing what was the band? The Orb.
Oh yeah.
I was doing front of house for the Orb, and it was like 1:30 or 2 in the morning at this point, and they were just about to go on.
Middle of the night.
Aye.
And they were even and
well, I'd finally got sound, because it was one of those quick sound checks. Quite a complicated setup. Again, not what the tech spec said. Got it all up and running. Cool. The place was rammed because we were the only stage still on, and got happy with the mix within 2 songs, and it was one of those moments you just go, and it's not my thing. That is not my kind of music, but I was into it, and then I thought a couple of tins. So by the end of our set, I was dancing at the mixing desk and pished. And the first time I've ever done that, but it was actually the highlight of that weekend, but when I think about it, see if something went wrong, I wonder if I could have sobered up like that.
I'm not going to lie to you. The first year of Rabbit Hole that I did in 2018, I think it was, that was actually the same. That was that year that you were talking about there. I was on Monitor World at the main stage, and it was on the Saturday, I believe. Saturday night, I was talking to Zambo, I think it was, and he couldn't tell that I was fucking steaming. Every band that came off the stage on the Saturday, I think I had 3 or 4 bands to mix that day, and they're all dotted throughout the day. The rest of them had in-ears, and the guys doing it from front of house and stuff. I think there was 8 bands on that day, and I was mixing 4, and none of them were the headliner. I think I had the band on before the headliner, and the band on before them. So they came off. The bands that came off that I was mixing were coming off and handing me bottles of beer. And I thought, the first band came off and did it. No, I'm working. The next band that came off,
have a drink.
No, I'm working. And then the next member came off, there you are. And it just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And fuck it. Drinking. And again, I'm not sure if I would have. I wouldn't recommend it. I would maybe make that, if you're going to have a drink at front of house. I don't really want my guys to be doing that when they're on shift. If you're doing it at Lighting World, fair enough. You know what I mean? Because I'm not belittling it or anything like that. Getting it, I think it kind of helps. There's maybe a party element to it. Get involved with the party, same with the video. Get involved with the party. Don't spill it in your computer. Christ. There's an old saying, people don't go home humming the lights.
Yeah.
I
think we've said that to a lampy at least once a week.
Aye, probably. Yeah, people don't go home humming red.
Red, 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 yellow, yellow.
You know what I mean? They'll go home doing that. They go home with the experience, and people don't go ask for their money back if they I couldn't see the fucking drummer. You know what I mean? Couldn't he hear the fucking drummer? So kind of he's there. We know he's there. How do we know he's there? We've got him.
I would say I would highly recommend not drinking. I mean, that
kind of was my point.
I drive 99% of the time, so I wouldn't anyway. But I've heard through other people through their mistake, and I was told a story once about a large concert gig, everything up and running. The guy started drinking, system tech drinking, and got drunk, and then the whole system went down. And he had to sober up like that and figure it out, but he wasn't fully on top of the ball. He figured it out, but that experience made him go, never again.
Yeah, because, took a bit longer than it would normally if he was sober.
Because we get complacent with that, so you've got to still be very, very sharp, and especially, the higher up you go and the bigger gigs you get, that's where there's a professionality to it. And we've all done pubs and club gigs where you've had a few drinks. That's it comes with the territory.
The point, I think my point about the rabbit hole performance there was when I realised what position I was in, and didn't seem it to the outside world. It wasn't good. It's not clever. It wasn't clever at all. I jeopardised my reputation at that point. Don't do that. It's not worth it. No matter where you are, you're only as good as your last gig, man. So,
well, the way to look at it as well is if you were doing any other job and you were drinking on the job, you'd be fired.
Right, you get binned. True.
Pretty much. Okay, two things I want to talk about. Okay. What's your, out of all the mixing desks you worked What's your kind of your go-to desk? What's your favourite desk to use for monitors or front of house? If you had all the money in the world to do a gig and they said you can pick whatever desk you wanted, what's your go-to?
One of the Pro 2 series.
That's kind of your workhorse, isn't it?
Started off when I started working on those boards. Oh, we were not friends. We were not friends at all. It takes a bit of getting used to.
Yeah.
But once you figure it out, once you get your head around it, it was a clever little board. You know what I mean?
One of the things I hate about it is I'd spend a lot of time on a SD series using the touch screen, and then you're on a Pro 2 and then you start hitting the screen.
I'll just hit the fuck I
yeah,
get the mouse out. There you go.
For amateur central, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I quite like that. Mouse ball, click click. I'm fucking old school, mate. I like a mouse.
Now, in terms of pet hates of musicians, also we've got a lot of bands coming through and also sound engineers. What's your kind of pet hates of what musicians do that just get on your wick? And also sound engineers, of what you see sound engineers doing?
Musicians, when every single one of them, when they go on stage, they have to make a shitload of noise. It's like, we're here. No. I know
guitarists.
Right, that and playing over the top of each other. I need the bassist, the drummer starts playing. Like, fucking shut up. I need him.
Yeah.
You know, or her, or them.
It tends to show the professionality, or if you've got an established band who know their stuff, the sound checks are good. Yeah. It tends to be the uneducated or the younger bands who...
guys. Even then, sometimes the other thing is that I can't stand is you've got a drummer sat in front of you, you're talking to them, and then you go, yeah, and you're still talking to them, and you're strapping a mic to a snare. Next thing is, what? Yeah, mate, that's your gig fucked.
Aye.
That's your gig fucked. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, being a drummer, I've done it, so I could feel it. But I now, what I've learned, or what I've started to do is when I'm making up the drum kit and the drummer's there, I start talking to the drummer about drums. And it's that way of, I'm doing it for two things, because I'm just going, cool, I know about drums, I know what I'm doing, I know how to make it up, but I'm also getting him talking so he doesn't start playing. Because he's not going to start playing while he's talking. So if I'm down there, because I don't want to go, listen mate, don't play the drums well. You can come across a bit of a dick, or you don't want to cause any issues.
I don't think I've ever told anybody not to. I have actually, what I have done though, some bands like it, tribute acts of like particular favourite acts of mine, like Iron Maiden or Alice Cooper or something like that. He's like, oh, I know the songs, by the way, so if you're shite, I'll just turn you off.
Yeah.
Usually, but you get him that bit of patter beforehand, and then you...
I did that with the Pearl Jam UK when they were doing the Cathouse, and I was chatting away and I was looking at the set, and I said to him, like, if Footsteps isn't on that set list, I'm going to mute you, you know? I didn't, but... Yeah.
No, nor have I. You know, I mean, fortunately, some of the bands that I've worked with are quite good. You know, so that's all right. There's a Smith tribute that kicks about now every year again, mostly every year. That's nice. And the front man is the complete opposite of Morrissey. He's a fucking lovely guy. You know what I mean? Which is great. Like, if he's in like Morrissey, I'm going,
I actually love doing the tribute act gigs. It's good music, but you're also getting guys who are passionate about the music that they're doing, so you know they're going to do it well.
Yeah, and you know it.
Aye.
That helps as well if you know
Aye.
it. Like, oh, brilliant. Just getting to mix your favourite band, but in the wee room that you never saw them in.
I was in an AC/DC tribute band, right, for 5 years as a drummer, and the Angus Young was spitting image, wee tiny guy, and every single sound check or anything, he would go out and he would wireless system. He was always stupidly loud, no matter what size of the venue, and he'd be out the front of the house while we're sound checking, and we'd finish sound checking. He'd go, "How's it sound?" He went, "Oh, I sound great," you know, not listen to anything else.
Not the mix.
Yeah. So I was in a band with this guy for 5 years, and he's in another band called AC/DC UK now,
Right.
who were playing at the Cathouse last year, and I was doing sound. He didn't recognise me. He came in, took him I'm talking to him on stage and in for about 10 minutes. I didn't let on or anything, and eventually the penny dropped, and I was just like, man, no one remembers the drummer ever. Never mind, no one remembers the sound engineer.
That's why drummers get away with murder. Actual murder.
Aye.
That's why you get like 12 bodies buried in your garden.
11 and a half. Anyway, right, last question, just to finish off. Keep it nice and short. What's basic advice for any engineers looking to get into your position?
And in my position, start with your local crew companies. Keep everything open. Be open to any opportunities that come along. Talk to guys like Scott, me, anybody in the venue. You never know who you're going to be talking to. Don't be shy. Don't worry if you need to ask for help. Keep your phone charged. Keep your phone charged.
It's funny you say that, but it is. It's like a lot of the time, if you put up on Facebook, I need somebody, a lot of times it's the first person who gets to you saying, I'm available, I can do this, cool, here you go.
Don't be a dick. And
I can't believe you've just said that, because in my head I was like, we're going to end this whole
no, we're not.
Don't be a dick. No, I was going to say it.
Don't be a dick. And
it's true.
If you work hard enough for what you want, you'll get there. You get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're willing to put the work in, and you're willing to show people that you're willing to put the work in, you get there, man. You will. Be prepared for a bumpy ride.
Oh, it's not easy.
Be prepared for it to kick you in the teeth. It's not easy. Not.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom, and I'll talk to you soon. Guys, thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment and a like. Next week, I'm going to be speaking to Rory Docherty, who is the front of house engineer for Bleed From Within.